Hello guys, in the previous video we talked about what variables are and how these are declared and initialized for the int type, and that the name of the variables known as variable names have certain rules for their expressions. As Sakshi told you how to put a value inside a memory location and naming that location constitutes a variable, in this video we'll be talking about some constants and also about the spaces that is seen between these. So the question arises, what are the spaces? While initializing or putting a value or a constant inside the variable, Sakshi used some spaces between the data type and the variable name, and also between the variable name and the equals to sign, that is the assignment operator, and equals to sign and the value. These spaces are called white spaces. What are white spaces? White spaces are described as blanks, tabs, new lines, etc. They separate one part of a statement from other and enables the compiler to identify different elements in the code. They might be necessary to put as between the data type and the variable name, so as to separate them as individual elements for the compiler, and sometimes unnecessary too, as between the variable name and the equals to sign, but they make the code more readable and easier to understand. Now we know that we put a constant value in a variable. Let's quickly go through the rules for constructing integer constants. An integer constant must have at least one digit. It must not have a decimal point that will give it a real value, which is not possible. It could be either positive or negative. If no sign precedes, it is assumed positive. No commas or blanks are allowed within an integer constant. And now let us discuss the rules for constructing character constants. It is either a single alphabet, a single digit, or a single special symbol enclosed within a single inverted commas. Both the inverted commas are pointing to the left. We cannot use inverted commas which point in the opposite directions. For example, you can see in the screen that we use the single inverted commas for the declaration. Now let's head on to multiple variable declaration. In the previous video you learned how to declare and initialize an integer variable. Now let's see multiple variables. When we are declaring multiple variables, we can do that in a single statement. You can see the example on the screen. Here int is the data type and ABC are the variable names. Now let's talk about declaration and initialization in the same statement. Here you can see that we used int as the data type. Here A, B and C are the variable names and 1, 2 and 3 are the values put in them respectively. When we try to do multiple initialization in a single statement, this is possible. The value 3 first gets assigned to E, that is a variable name, which is declared to be int previously, and so on. The D gets the value which E has acquired, that is 3, and so on till A. This statement is not possible. You can see on the screen int A is equals to B is equals to C is equals to 3. This is because A gets its data type that is int, but not B and C. B and C are still undeclared and the compiler gives an error. Now let's talk about what are constants. Let us see a constant MPy. It is a constant defined and declared inside the MATH.H header file. This means including the MATH.H file, we can use the value of MPy by just writing it. Now what is a constant? A constant is an entity just like a variable, a memory location in which a value can be stored. But the difference between the two is that a value stored in a constant remains as such and cannot be changed throughout the program. If we try to change it, we get a compilation error. You can see the declaration and initialization of a constant as given on the screen. Here const declare that the variable I is a constant, int is the data type, and 156 is the value we put inside I. Now let's suppose that we have a program in which we haven't included math.h. So MPy behaves as a legal variable. We can change the value of MPy because it is not declared. anywhere in the program. If MATH.H file is included in the program, then the MPy cannot be used as a variable and hence called an illegal variable. We cannot change the value of MPy as it is set to a constant value in the MATH.H header file. Now let's head on to the next topic, that is declaration and initialization of character type variables. These are the variables which can have a single character value. As you can see on the screen, these are the examples. In the first example, we have declared a letter variable. The name of the variable is letter and the data type is char. In the second example, we declared as well as initialized the same variable in the single statement. Char is the data type, letter is the variable name, and a is the value which we put inside the letter. You can see that we used single inverted commas, both pointing to the left. This is a necessity and we have to use it every time we give a value to a character variable.